The only thing that's guaranteed in life is change, right? And if we can recognize that changes in life tend to cause us to make an adjustment to what is our normal routine around, let's say, going to the gym or meal prepping or whatever.
Let's link up with Krista on the FYX. She's a wellness coach with a focus on mental well-being and physical strength.
What's up, FYX listeners? Welcome back to our latest episode of the FYX podcast. I'm your host, Krista Huber. I've got a quick, direct, on the nose episode for everybody today. First of all, you can probably tell I lost my voice a little bit. I had myself a very inspiring, focused, and a lot of fun weekend out in Florida for a business retreat for a mentorship community that I am newly a part of. And I will weave that into today's conversation because we are going to talk about something that is probably a reminder if you've been watching and listening to this show for a long time. But I would argue, and I'm going to make a very emphatically bold statement here, one of the most important reminders, and probably one of the most important reminders in the sense that it's something you're going to need to come back to time and time again. And that is connecting to why you are doing what you're doing when it comes to your career, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to life, period. And here's why. The only thing that's guaranteed in life is change, right? And if we can recognize that changes in life tend to cause us to make an adjustment to what is our normal routine around, let's say, going to the gym or meal prepping or whatever. Take this weekend, for example. We talk about balance inside of the Fitness Fix. I talk about balance on this podcast, and I enjoyed myself. I had several drinks. I went to a brunch that was 2 hours of unlimited food. They truly just kept bringing us different things to try. It was incredible. I said no to certain things because, yeah, at some point you're going to get full. But I also wanted to realize that, hey, I'm not somebody who usually drinks alcohol that often. So let me think about how my body might respond to that. But at the same time, I wasn't going to tell myself going into the trip or going into these experiences at dinners, by the pool, what have you, saying, oh, no, I'm absolutely 100% not having alcohol. There are times when I do make that decision, but it always comes down, like, how do I actually make that decision? It always comes down to connecting myself, reconnecting with myself, using my why like a pulse check. And the reason why I say using it like a pulse check is because recently I've been seeing a pattern with our clients inside of the Fitness Fix. And I think absolutely anybody can relate to this because when you really think about the phases of your life where you've gained weight that you then would like to lose, or phases of your life where you feel like you're not putting yourself first, where you feel like your energy levels are down, where you feel like you just don't have the confidence that you did before, it always comes back to the fact that something shifted. And for me, I started to recognize the power of that realization itself when I went through some massive changes in my life. 5 years ago, I quit my job, called off a wedding, moved back home to New Jersey. It was COVID. I had no plan. I had no idea what I wanted to do next. I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay in the fitness industry. And I'm really glad I went through that experience because the discomfort from it not only led me to creating now 2 businesses, but what it really helped me figure out on a fundamental level when it comes to how we think about our health, and how I think about our health, and how we teach Fitness Fix members how to think about your health is this. Macronutrients are just one piece of the puzzle. Getting to the gym is just one piece of the puzzle. But your reason for why you choose to do those things has to be so fucking strong. It has to be rock solid because that's what brings you back to center on the days when things come up, on the days where you make big decisions, on the days where, of course, your emotion is going to take over. There are a lot of business owners and other influencers on the internet, one in particular, who I do like, but sometimes I go back and forth on this one phrase that she says. And it's this idea of like, F your mood, just follow the plan. in a lot of ways, yeah, that's a very practical way to live, because when you set out a plan for yourself, when you work inside of the Fitness Fix and we as coaches set out a plan for you, you're coming to our program because you trust us and because you actually lack certainty on how to get to your fat loss goals, how to build more muscle, how to feel more lean and toned, how to have more energy levels. So yeah, there's a plan that's laid out for you, but we all know that emotions are something to manage. They're the difference between learning how to respond versus learning how to react. And we're also human beings. We know that too. And that's where I sometimes disagree on the statement, because it takes a lot of consistent and concerted effort to manage your emotions again and again and again, which is why in a lot of ways it may sound quote unquote easier to simply follow the plan. It's actually why plans are powerful, because when you can recognize that your emotions will be up and down, just like change that's also guaranteed, the emotional aspect of being a human being is also guaranteed. But where we get into trouble, where we get into the sticky situations, where we get into those periods where we look in the mirror and we're like, how did this happen? It's not just because our emotions took over. It's also because of the choices we made to manage those emotions. Let's use food as an example. If you are the type of person who, when you are stressed, you find that maybe you're not even eating more, or maybe you're not even picking different foods, maybe you're eating less, but you find that when you're stressed, this is something I see with every Fitness Fix client. So for those of you listening, I know you're going to smile when you hear me say this. You decide, you tell yourself this story, oh, I'm stressed, I'm busy, therefore I have to get all these other things done related to work, related to managing my household, related to other relationships in my life. So I'm not going to track my food, or I'm not going to plan to hit my macros today. I'm not going to get to the grocery store so that I can do my meal prep. I'm going to skip the gym. Sure, there are times when that stress piece makes sense of like, hey, you may want to skip the gym if you only got 5 hours of sleep and really focus on getting to bed early the next night, and let's focus on your sleep routine. But if you have this pattern to where every Monday you're like, oh gosh, as I'm reflecting on the past week, I had, this responsibility come up and this other thing come up and that other thing come up. And all of a sudden you tell yourself, and it's not really sudden, I'm too busy to track my food. I'm too busy to pre-plan for this. The story that you are imprinting is a story that tracking your food is not as important as you taking care of those responsibilities. Now, what if this is the magic? This is the switch. This is the difference between the person who gets the results and actually keeps them and isn't on this yo-yo roller coaster of dieting again and again. What if you change the narrative and you said, when I am busy, I am going to double down on tracking my food and pre-planning my meals, and I'm going to do it in the most simplified way possible. We'll talk about simplified in a second. Because I know that when I'm busy and I am looking to perform at an optimal level, if I'm fueling my body, if I feel good, if I get a good night's sleep, if my cognitive function is all the way there, I will actually be able to better handle that stress, those changes, the responsibilities that are coming my way. And that doesn't happen overnight, right? Because going back to what I just said, you may come from a history of using food or neglecting yourself, or really the undertone of that is like having this expectation that in story that you're getting a medal for doing everything for everybody else instead of taking care of yourself, that you'll be remembered as the person who always sacrificed. Why can't you be remembered as the person who took care of herself or himself so they really showed up for other people? The moment where you can say that when I am my best version of myself, because, and then you list these tasks like pre-planning your meals, plugging it into my fitness pal, going to the gym 3 days a week, getting a walk every single day, hitting your steps, hitting a water goal, or just one or two of those things. It doesn't even have to be all the things. You are going to get to a place where not only will you be happier alongside everybody else around you, but it's going to feel easier for you to see that the method that you're using, that we teach inside of our programs, is something that fits into your life. And in order for that method to fit into your life, this is where the simplification aspect comes in. I just listed like 6 different things that you can do to take care of your health. You can crank them like levers or turning up a dial. Maybe on a really busy period, giving you an example, I have a client right now who is an accountant, and we are not even 2.5 weeks away from the tax deadline. She made the decision to not go to the gym like about 2 weeks ago for like the month leading up to April 15th. But instead, we subbed that in for her going for walks. And it's not that she can't go to the gym, but it's the friction of saying, okay, it's a 15 to 20-minute ride each direction, hour-long workout. I can only fit it on Saturdays. Saturdays, I also want to be with my family because I'm working so many hours during the week. So how about instead she hops on a treadmill that's right in her house that she could literally wear her pajamas, or she just goes outside, gets some fresh air, and does that first thing in the morning when she wakes up and keeps it short, keeps it to 15 minutes, does a little power walk, inserts those walks throughout the day to take a break between meetings, to take a break from her eyeballs burning from staring at the computer screen. That's where you're cranking the dial, so to speak, because it's not to say that she's doing less. She's still matching her desire and her intention and her value of moving her body, because she recognizes, and we've had multiple conversations, that moving her body is what's going to allow her to get through the stress of all of the things that she's got on her work to-do list over the course of the next 2.5 weeks. See the difference there? What most people wind up doing is they get into that world of them saying things like, oh, I fell off. Okay, you fell off, but like, it's like, you fell off what? I used to say this, I haven't said this on the podcast in a long time, but it's like, I got off track. What track? This is your life that you're talking about. It's going to continue to happen. It's going to be fluid. It's going to be messy, but it's you knowing that you have different options, and it's you learning how those different options fit into your life based on all the other variables that are being thrown at you. So if you're already a busy person and you're already noticing, oh, the minute I get busy, I have this tendency to not worry about the things that are taking care of me. The other question I always ask is, don't you still have to eat? You still have to eat. So the simplification then comes down to, all right, maybe 2 weeks ago when you had a little more time on your hands, when you didn't have that work project as a deadline, maybe you did make dinner every single night and you picked a new recipe twice a week. How about on the weeks that when you have a lot going on, you are saying, okay, I'll give you an example of something I eat. The Amy Lou's chicken meatballs. I pop them in the air fryer. I buy 2 packs of them. I make like 20 of them. And that will be some combination that's included in my lunch and or dinner for the next 3 days. I'm prepping a lot of ground beef, ground turkey, because it legitimately takes 5 minutes to cook on the stove. I'm using my air fryer often. I'm having canned tuna with salad. And most of the time, what I'm really doing, like for 90% of my meal prep, is chopping up vegetables. On top of that, the method with which I'm chopping up these vegetables is I'm buying one of those little slicers. If you guys don't have one, like the little julienne slicer, you can get it on Amazon. It's literally $25. It will cut your prep time in half. Or you take it one step further, incorporate a meal prep service. We have so many options at our fingertips, but it's the more you tell yourself, not even the excuse of I don't have time. It's the more you tell yourself that when I am busy, X thing falls off. The thing that nothing should fall off when you're busy, we just do a different version of it. When it comes to tracking your food, maybe you stick to just tracking protein, or maybe you tell yourself, I'm literally going to eat like the same 6 meals on repeat that are my go-tos, because I know that those combinations of foods work for those macronutrients that my current goals are assigned. And you just do that, because it's coming down to decision fatigue and the emotional management. When you can acknowledge that your decision fatigue is higher, but you do still have to eat, it's just about the little adjustment, going a couple degrees in one other direction to be able to get to your goals. In the minute that you can recognize that, the minute that you actually take responsibility for the fact that you are choosing to go from all or nothing, that's the minute that your relationship with food gets better. That's the minute that you realize that you don't really have to actually sacrifice that much. Those sacrifices are more like compromises that are just really calculated. They're just really intentional. So I'll tie that back to my weekend. I knew going into my travel experience, hey, it was going to be a long weekend, up early, going to bed kind of late. I wasn't going to get the best night's sleep. But what did I do? I still brought my supplements with me. I still woke up in the morning to go for a walk, even if it was like literally 5 minutes. I didn't go to the gym because I recognized that, hey, I got 3 really good workouts in before I left. As soon as I finished recording this podcast, going to go hit a workout. And I know that in the zoomed out picture, in the bigger picture, I'm not eating the way that I did this weekend every single weekend. Half the people that I was with also agreed. Like, we were all texting each other yesterday. Most of them are in the wellness industry too. Oh, I can't wait to get back to my routine. I can't wait to have more of my home cooked meals. When you say things like that to yourself, that's your sign that you know that you've created a life you truly enjoy, down to your food choices. And that's truly magical. That's truly where you are going to be able to say that no matter what life throws at you, you can adjust, you can pivot, and you can just turn direction those couple of degrees in that one little direction, slightly over to the right or left a little bit more, and realize that's not the same thing as you falling completely off center. So, like I said, short episode because I really wanted to get this point across. I've had this conversation a lot in the last few weeks, and I make a conscious effort to show when I make choices that are seemingly not what you'd expect a nutrition coach to do, because that's real life. And you're going to go through periods where your priorities shift, but you are the most important relationship that you have. Your priorities can shift, but you as a human being, you as an individual are always a part of the equation. So why not make your non-negotiables be that list of like, okay, what's the best version of this? The best version is pre-planning my meals, tracking my food, hitting my macros 6 out of 7 days of the week. But then what's my like 1A version of that? Where it's just tracking protein. It's going for 4 walks instead of getting in 4 strength training sessions. It's getting at least 7.5 hours of sleep. It's maybe having 2 drinks instead of having 4 over the weekend. That's the equation. It's those decisions. It's those adjustments between the 2 scenarios that I just described, where some weeks you're all the way locked in, other weeks you're 87% or even 60%. And then you have the week or 2 in there where it's a trip and maybe you're like, I'm not going to worry about this at all. Or you get sick or somebody else in your house does and you're like, I'm just in survival mode. But if we got 52 weeks out of the year and you have maybe 3 weeks that are in that survival mode, and then 40 something kind of in that 87%, I promise you that's the equation to not only lose the weight and get the results that you desire. And yeah, in the period of losing the weight, you're going to have those super dialed in times, but it's going to teach you what it feels like, what it looks like, and what those decisions, those thought processes actually are when it comes to maintaining the results you desire. So if you want maintenance, that's what we specialize in at the Fitness Fix. We get you the fat loss results, but then we show you how to actually keep them, because I don't know about you, but from the person that I just described, the busy individual, the person pulling themselves in a million directions, you don't have time to keep losing and regaining the same 15 pounds or fluctuate up another 20 and then down 30 and then up another 40 and then down 15. We don't have time for that. So let's tweak that dial, turn it up, turn it down, find that spot in the middle, turn it up again, get really focused, turn it back down, find that spot in the middle, and repeat. That's, in the most simplified terms, the cycle with food, with our approach to dieting that we actually take you through. So if you want to be a part of it, send me a DM. If you DM me the words "I'm ready" at the Krista Huber, you'll get access to our one-on-one coaching application. Follow us over on Instagram if you're not, at the Fitness Fix. Remember, it's spelled just like the podcast, FYX. We've got some new exciting offers and programs that are coming out specifically for the Fitness Fix. And I'm excited to be able to make our coaching services more accessible at varying price points so that we can help as many of you find that magic in maintenance. That's all I got for you guys. Can't forget my usual sign off from wherever you're listening from. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next week.